Good morning. Welcome to First Parish in Concord. We're both in person and online this morning. We're glad you're all here. If you're online, please feel free to participate fully in the chat. And if you're here in person and you have any questions about accessibility or about the building, please see one of our ushers or one of our worship leaders. Children are always welcome in our sanctuary, and to help us stay safe, masks must be worn in the building. We are glad to be a highly vaccinated community. We do record our services, so if you prefer not to be on camera, we encourage you to sit in the back of the sanctuary or on the sides underneath the balcony. This morning, we're blessed to have the musical skills of Pamela Schwepp as our vocalist and Mary Kate Rupert as our organist this morning. We invite the congregation, if you'd like to do so, to please stand and wave to our online congregation and let them know that we're thinking of them and we're glad that they're here. All right. Thank you all so much. The words for our call to worship this morning are from the First Parish in Waltham Pulsford services. The world and its fullness are ours not to hold in wanton self-will, but reverently, as in trust for generations yet unborn. Let this church be a champion of the unity of humanity, and let it also be a champion of the sacredness of our diversity. And amid rich diversities of race and faith, we shall unite all who seek to make a firm and sure place of humanity upon the earth. And we light our chalice this morning for the well-being of all life, for the sacredness of all life, for the holy in all of our interactions. Please join in our responsive lighting found in your order of service. O flame of our faith, open our hearts and fill our bodies and souls with persistent strength. Enliven our spirits and engage us deeply in this life of ours, this sacred, essential moment now. And Pamela is going to introduce our first hymn to you all and give some instructions.
Please rise as you're able. Our hymn is number 389. It is a round, so we'll sing it through twice in unison, and then this side of the sanctuary can join Loren Evans will lead the first part, and then if the rest of you will please join me in part two, that would be great. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the trouble and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Spirit draw near. Spirit draw near.
I invite you to please be seated, and if you would, find number 461 in the back of your hymnal, our responsive reading this morning. We Must Be Saved by Reinhold Niebuhr, number 461. He writes, "Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime.
Therefore, we are saved by hope.
Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in the immediate context of history.
Therefore, we are saved by faith.
Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone.
Therefore, we are saved by love.
And no virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as from our own.
Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness."
Good morning. The reading this morning is Roads Go Ever On by J.R.R. Tolkien. Roads go ever, ever on, over rock and under tree, by caves where sun has never shone, by streams that never find the sea, over snow by winter sown, and through the merry flowers of June, over grass and over stone, and under mountains in the moon. Roads go ever, ever on, under cloud and under star, yet feet that wandering have gone turn at last to home afar. Eyes that fire and sword have seen, and horror in the halls of stone look at last on meadows green, and trees and hills they long have known. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with weary feet until it joins some larger way where many paths and errands meet. And whither then, I cannot say. The road goes ever on and on, out from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, let others follow if they can. Let them a journey new begin, but I at last with weary feet will turn towards the lighted inn, my evening rest and sleep to meet. Still, round the corner there may wait a new road or secret gate, and though I oft have passed them by, a day will come at last when I shall take the hidden paths that run west of the moon, east of the sun.
Thank you, Sally. Author and poet of the Tao Te Ching, the philosopher and poet Lao Tzu wrote, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath one's feet," though the translation that we all know is sometimes made as, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a first step." The phrasing "the journey begins beneath one's feet" is actually more accurate. The journey starts where we are, wherever we are. I recall as a child learning how to ride a bike. My father behind me, holding the seat of the bike, holding me upright. He ran along beside me, my mother up the street beckoning, waving for me to come towards her. I remember my father running along and then suddenly no longer there. I panicked. I turned the wheel sharply. I looked back to see where he had gone, and I crashed hard into the pavement. My parents rushed over and dusted me off. They picked me up and the bike up, and we tried again. And I say we, because it wasn't me alone. It was all of us trying together. I was not alone in this adventure. This time, when my father stopped, I kept going, prepared for his sudden disappearance. I wobbled and wavered back and forth, pedaling to gain speed and control, which is an incredibly counterintuitive thing to do. And finally gained my balance, sensing, feeling, not intellectually knowing what it took to remain upright. Like most of us, I learned to ride a bicycle by trial and error, sometimes painful error. But with support and love and care, I learned. There are other things I learned and gave up on: trumpet, piano, algebra, Spanish, all things which at some point interested me, but I let them go because they never completely caught my imagination or my passion or matched my natural skill set. The journey begins beneath one's feet, where we are. This is where the passion, the drive, the calling comes from. It doesn't begin with the step, the moving forward physically, but on stable, solid ground, the ground beneath us. The stillness is where the journey begins. Finding that stillness. The stillness of realizing a desire, a need, a curiosity, a discomfort, a calling. No one's journey is without loss or pain. There's a story, a Buddhist story, of a woman whose child dies, and she cries and mourns the loss and won't let him go. She goes to see a wise man to help her with her grief. He tells her to go and bring a mustard seed from a house that has never seen death. And of course, she cannot. She finds that in this process, she is not alone, that we all experience grief and loss, that that's part of the human condition. Eyes that fire and sword have seen, and horrors in the hall of stone. We face horrors both as individuals and as communities. We face the struggle of living as individuals within communities, balancing our needs and the needs of the community. And beneath our feet lie the bones and dust of those who have gone before us, our ancestors, our family, the great luminaries of our world. Some learned to ride a bike, the same as me, to walk and talk, the same as me. And they fell and skinned their knees. They made mistakes, and they learned from them. Beneath our feet is the ground of being, the silence of the great mystery reaching up to inspire us, to cajole us, to give us hope. Reinhold Niebuhr writes, "Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we are saved by faith." We are saved not just by those who are with us here today, but by those of faith who span the decades and the centuries before us. We stand with all those who have faith in humanity, who love what we can be and what we are, our potential to be transformed, our potential to live with integrity and love. And living with integrity and love is hard work and spiritual discipline. Niebuhr also wrote, "Ultimately, evil is done not so much by evil people, but by good people who do not know themselves and who do not probe deeply." Dr. Martin Luther King said a similar thing. We know the midterm elections are coming up, and anyone paying attention knows there is a great deal at stake here. Reproductive rights, gun control, transgender rights, the assaults on black and brown bodies, non-Christian theologies, and the planet itself. And so many lives at risk. Our task is to examine and probe more deeply than our own personal economic concerns, to consider more broadly all those impacted by our choices. We cannot afford as a nation to enter this election cycle unexamined. Too much evil can result. And we begin where we are, acknowledging what we know, and more importantly, what we don't know, reflecting on the ways in which our choices can enrich the lives of others or make them more difficult. In holding the stillness, we can engage an honest and responsible reflection to inform us how to move forward together. In 2005, I went to Spain to walk the Camino de Santiago. It wasn't necessarily a pilgrimage for me. I wasn't even really sure why I was going. I just knew that I had to go. As I walked that ancient road, I felt the history around me. Hundreds of thousands of pilgrims over thousands of years walking the same road, searching for something. Today, I can answer the question, why did you go? I can say that I went to experience the road of the ancestors, to find myself in the journey, to understand myself, and to engage in the solitude and quiet that walk allowed me. I can say it was a life-changing experience for me, and it began not with a step, not with a flight to Spain, but in those quiet moments when I knew I needed a change, when something had to give, when I needed something more, an opportunity, a space, a time to reflect. Those things we try in our life, the things we give ourselves to so that we may excel at them, have sometimes been the things that scare us the most, but also the things that capture a sense of purpose, of hope, of integrity in our lives. The times in which, once we notice where we are, we find we cannot remain still any longer, and we are compelled to begin to move, to make the forward motion necessary for the next phase of our journey. These are the things that have made our journey flower. But by avoiding probing too deeply, I am often able, for a while anyway, to deny what I know in my heart to be important and true. I am able to pretend that everything is okay. But my failure to connect with myself, and ultimately with others, causes pain not just to me, but to those I care for and love as well. I waste enormous amounts of energy in hiding and denying and pretending. When we avoid probing too deeply into the world in which we live, we cannot see how our own biases and fears actually prevent us from noticing the ground beneath our feet. And until we notice and attend to what is beneath us, we cannot move forward with thoughtfulness and integrity. It took me years to embrace my identity as a transgender man. Years of hiding, denying, making excuses, years of allowing fear to control me, until I was willing to stop and notice the ground beneath my feet. And when I look at the world, I see so many things that need our attention and love, our care. I see the weariness of those who have carried not just their own burdens, but the burdens of others. The journeys of those who didn't just face their own caves where the sun has never shone, but sought to illuminate the caves of their fellow travelers as well. Separate pilgrims joined together in some larger way on paths where errands meet, knowing, as our ancestors did, that nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime, and therefore we are saved by hope. And while it's true that the journey begins beneath our feet, here is the paradox. The ground beneath our feet is always shifting, and we cannot remain still for too long, because remaining still for too long isn't really an option. We will be left behind. We will remain isolated. We will eventually feel lost as the world moves around us. Our lives are journeys of discovery, the chance to explore this beautiful and profound world, the chance to make a difference in our lives, with our lives, in the world. And the journey is not singular. We are not solitary travelers. Nothing we do, however virtuous, is accomplished alone, and therefore we are saved by love. I was not alone in learning to ride my bike. My parents were with me. I was not alone in facing my transition. Many supported and held me in that process. I was not alone on the Camino. I met many friends and companions along the way, and at times it was they who kept me going, and at other times it was the silent opportunity for reflection which gave me strength and hope. We are saved by love. And in helping others face the challenges in their lives, meeting them where they are is important. Sometimes pointing out the ground beneath them and attending to the ground beneath our own feet. Because only then can intent be established, the decision be made, and the energy be gathered to move forward. We cannot force others to move, especially if they're not sure what lies beneath their feet. And there are times when we think we're doing the right thing, only to discover that what we intended is overshadowed by damaging impact. Virtuous acts that are seen to improve the world, but in our rush to improve things, we sometimes fall short. In an attempt to understand ourselves, we sometimes hurt others. When we do so out of ignorance, we can learn. When we do so out of willful ignorance, we will very likely intentionally harm others. Niebuhr writes, "No virtuous act is quite so virtuous from the standpoint of our friend as foe as from our own, and therefore we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness." And part of being human, part of finding our way, is making mistakes, falling off our bicycles, running from those who could best help us and understand us in our confusion and pain. And we all make mistakes. We all fall short. That's part of what it means to be human on this journey. If we never moved, failure would be all that we ever accomplished. But we do move, either voluntarily or we're dragged along. And when we move voluntarily, our lives are filled with joy and connection. Our lives are filled with both success and failure. I will say it's hard to learn when we're sure we're right, and I'm often sure that I'm right, something I'm learning to let go of. And it's often hard to forgive those who engage in willful ignorance, because only an actual change in behavior is going to bring real forgiveness and connection. This being human is a wonderful, amazing, crazy, painful, awesome thing. And the world around us has so much to offer, so much beauty and wonder and love. Our journeys intertwined with so many others as our lives meet and merge on the path. This is a miracle. It may not always feel that way, but if we can find that stillness and feel the earth beneath us, we can take the next movement forward, that next step on our journey with thoughtfulness and integrity, with courage, and above all, with love. Find the stillness, hold the stillness, seek the essence, hold the essence. Let us flower together. May we embrace the Spirit, and may that Spirit give us the power that allows us to be open to learning and to finding our place in the harmony of the world. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. And I offer this reflection question. What am I forgetting? There's music. Did I miss music? I'm so sorry I missed music. So Mary Kate is going to play for us. Oh, right. And Pamela's going to sing for us. I have them later in my... Okay. They're in the wrong place in my order of service. Apologies, folks.
you start.
Go ahead and do whatever piece you had originally planned that I messed up on. Thank you.
Your hands lie open in the long, fresh grass. The finger points look through like rosy blooms. Your eyes smile peace. The pasture gleams and glooms 'neath billowing skies that scatter and amass. All round our nest, far as the eye can pass, are golden kingcup fields with silver edge, where the cow parsley skirts the hawthorn hedge. 'Tis visible silence, still as the hourglass. Deep in the sun-searched growths, the dragonfly hangs like a blue thread loosened from the sky. So this winged hour is dropped to us from above. Oh, clasp we to our hearts, for deathless star, this close companion in articulate hour, when twofold silence was the song. The song of love.
Wow, I'm so sorry I forgot that. Thank you. So for our reflection question this morning, gotta find it here. I invite you to consider, hang on a minute, it's here somewhere. Here it is. I invite you to consider two questions this morning. The first is, do you know where you are? Do you know what the ground is underneath your feet? And sort of along with that, I encourage you to think about what is it that you need to lean into or learn next? What's the direction of your next movement?
it matter? Ours is a caravan of endless, endless, endless joy. Even if you've broken your vows 100 times, 100, 100, 100 times, come, 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 come yet again, 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 come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Ours is a caravan of endless, endless, endless joy.
At this time in our service, we share with one another the opportunities for the pastoral milestones. I'd like to share that Kathy T's sister Nancy died on July 30th after many years of living with chronic illness. Kathy and other family members were able to be with her during her final days at the Nantucket College Hospital. We also hold in prayer Samantha, whose cancer treatment has ended. We send our loving care to Sam and her family during this difficult time. I invite you now to call aloud into this space the names of those that you hold in your heart this week. For the care and love of all the names spoken and unspoken, we pray. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. I invite you now to join in singing Spirit of Life. Please rise, as you're comfortable doing. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Please be seated. Our prayer this morning is a prayer of new beginning adapted by Lori Stewart. In the spirit of community and a sense of purpose in our ministry, let us commence to discover our strength, our concerns, our grief, and our joy. Let this journey be one of love, authenticity, and reverence. Let us shape our lives, our work, and our days and as an expression of that joy, that love, and of our commitment to service to each other and to the world. the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Unitarian Universalism is a free covenantal faith. We invite you now to give generously to the work of this congregation for all that we do to care for those within these walls and beyond these walls. We are grateful for your gifts this morning.
Thank you, Mary Jane, and thank you, Pamela Schwepp and Loren, for helping with the leading of music today. Sorry, I guess we'll just let that hang there. No, we won't. Okay. So I'm here to invite you to, first of all, check your First Parish Weekly, which is our electronic weekly newsletter that goes out to the congregation. If you do not receive it, there are instructions for how to receive it on our website, firstparish.org. But the FP Weekly will tell you valuable things, especially as we begin into the fall. Things like the fact that there is an outdoor social sponsored by the WPA, our Women's Parish Association, this Friday, August 26th from 3 to 4:30, and the details are in FP Weekly. Also, details like cards will start to be available to participate in the UU the Vote initiative next week. And there's more information about that. I just read it today in FP Weekly. So please check that out and get signed up. I'm told our worship sharing circle will begin again next Sunday, August 28th. So watch for information about that. I invite all of you, including anyone who's online who's close enough, to come to our coffee hour out on the labyrinth and the porch and under the shade of the sycamore tree after the service. You can go out through the rear door or through these side doors right here. There's also an elevator right here. And finally, I invite you to rise as you are able and to sing our closing hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
All that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Our closing words this morning are the words of Octavia Butler. She writes, "All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change." And I invite you to join me in the benediction found in your order of service. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Please be seated for our postlude.